So what's exciting about these Communities Create projects is that we're wanting to really bring people together in this time where we're all apart.
Be part of a time capsule of life during the pandemic through creative outputs.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrea Romero, the manager of the Fashion Zone and co-director of entrepreneurship at the Creative Innovation Studio at OCAD at Ryerson University. And welcome to Communities Create. Hello to everyone in the live session, as well as everyone live streaming on Communities Create or CBC Art. The goal of Communities Create is to support independent members of the creative community and to use creativity to unite Canadians and help people express how they're feeling in this time of pandemic and uncertainty, when words sometimes just aren't enough. We're providing microgrants to independent artists to lead these interactive sessions through a wonderful network of collaborators, including OCAD University this week. It's Mask Making Week, and today's workshop is Personal Mask Making, a Prototyping Exercise with Michael Magnussen, presented in collaboration with OCAD University. With my work at the Fashion Zone, Canada's fastest growing incubator for fashion-inspired businesses, the pandemic has paused normal operations for our startup teams, with many pivoting to produce PPE to assist with shortages and new regulations. Today's session is a great opportunity for us to understand our emotions around wearing a mask, and on the more fashionable side, how to take your mask design to the next level. Now, before we get started, here are some ground rules to ensure that everyone has the best experience possible. Number one, try the exercise yourself. Grab a pen and paper if you don't already have one with you. Hi to everyone watching in the live stream. We hope you'll participate too, along with the people inside the interactive session. Introduce yourself, play along, and ask questions using the Communities Create hashtag on Twitter, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. And that's hashtag Communities Create. For those in the session, pin the Communities Create video. Use the chat to comment and ask questions. Your microphone will be muted. Moderators will unmute you if you have a question to ask. Any audio is recorded and archived. Your video will be controlled by you and viewable by other participants. We'll also invite you to share your work during the workshop on video, which will be recorded. Now, I'd like to introduce Diana Breacher, who heads up our mental task force. Diana, one of the reasons we're doing this is to give people a creative outlet for their emotions. Can you tell us a bit about your role here?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. It's lovely to be here. I'm a psychologist, and I was asked to participate in this wonderful program because we were aware that when we ask people, how are you feeling right now? And it's in the context of a pandemic, that things can get triggered. They can get triggered by the content or the process of the session. And we wanted to make sure that everyone had a bit of a safety net to unpack or debrief afterwards. So I'm here with two of our PhD graduate students, Amy and Rachel. And the three of us are going to be monitoring the chat if anyone has something that's coming up and they wanted to connect with us now. So we'll do that through the chat. Or afterwards, when the recording stops, we're going to stick around just to do a bit of a debrief and talk about the session and anything that might be helpful. I also wanted to mention that I've put together a list of resources that are free and accessible, and they're all on the Communities Create website. And these are resources for mental health support outside of the context of this 1 hour session. And so I hope everything goes well today, and we're here to talk if you'd like. Thanks, bye.
That's great, thanks. And now I'd like to introduce Farah Youssef from OCAD University. Farah, can you oh, hi. Can you tell us about OCAD's reason for joining the initiative and what they're most excited about?
Well, we're excited to join the Communities Create initiative, using creativity as a way to explore what we're feeling and unpack larger ideas around all of the things that have changed for us during the pandemic is very important to us. And Michael Magnussen, especially, I had the pleasure of recently curating an exhibition at the Textile Museum called Wild. Magnussen's art practice investigates queer community and notions of space, safe space through a personal perspective. And the costuming and adornment have developed out of Magnussen's performative practice. The masks and objects that were on display really were a way of uncovering an inner voice, but they were also a safety net, a form of protection. Now that idea of masks have shifted slightly, and the way that we're thinking about Michael's masks are especially important right now. So having these conversations about how they make you feel, how to work through feeling kind of different, but then expressing yourself through them, I think are a wonderful way of exploring the larger issues today. And without further ado, I'll introduce Michael, who holds MFA in Interdisciplinary Studies from OCAD University. They have exhibited work across Canada and internationally. Notable exhibitions include Every Now Then, Reframing Nationhood at the Art Gallery of Ontario, and Show 17 at the Idea Exchange. They are co-founder of Younger Than Beyoncé Gallery, an artist-run center here in Toronto, Canada. Hello, Michael.
Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for having me, and thanks for that lovely introduction, everyone. How is everyone doing? I hope we're all doing good. We're going to have a really fun workshop today. So I don't know if you can see me. I hope you can. So I guess we'll just get started. And to get started, we're going to look at a couple of my work. So a couple examples of sculptures that I have. So if we can just get those up. I'm just going to change my screen a little bit because I don't see myself. Great. Okay, so we'll just go with this. Okay, so basically this workshop is divided into 3 parts. There is 3 drawing exercises. As Andrea said, you're going to need some pieces of paper and some pens and some scissors, and which I have here. So let me just, I'm still having trouble with my screen. So I'm going to try to fix that in a way. Okay, well, we'll just make this work. My apologies. So basically, this whole workshop is about trying to figure out how you're feeling with wearing a mask through drawing and through more of a journaling exercise. I have an image up here, which is my past work. As you can see, I make full face masks, and they're beaded and bedazzled using sewing techniques and beading techniques. Often I bead into a wire mesh, and they're worn by myself. So this is a couple examples of my work. This is work I made before the pandemic. At the end of this workshop, I'm going to be showing you work I made currently, things I'm exploring. So hopefully this workshop will touch on how people are feeling. We're going to be able to show what we're working on during the workshop, and also discuss, the realities of wearing masks on a regular basis. How can we personalize them? How can we become more comfortable? How can we make them not only a safety aspect, but also representing of ourselves? So I guess we can just get started. Basically, to get started, we're going to do 3 exercises. The first exercise is really simple. you're gonna take a sheet of paper, and for 2 minutes, using your pen, you're just gonna draw patterns and shapes, lines that are kind of reflective of how you're feeling. So if you're feeling particularly calm, that will probably show up in your drawing. So if you're feeling really anxious, that might show up in your pattern design. It's only 2 minutes. I'll give you a countdown in a second. So basically, for me, especially when I'm wearing a mask, I often feel kind of threatening in a way, or in general when I'm in public. Because when I'm walking around normally, I have a big smile on my face. But when I'm wearing a mask, because I can't do that, I'm always smiling with my eyes. And it's something that I'm really conscious of, that people are really aware of the spacing. And so that's something I think a lot about. So that might come up in my drawing. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to draw. And that 2 minutes will start now. I will be drawing along as well. So I'm just going to set my timer. We have 30 seconds left, so get drawing. Okay, everyone, I just need to figure out how to close that timer. Perfect. So that was 2 minutes. That was just a warm up. As I said, it's just intuitive drawing. I'm going to show you what I made, and then you can put up what you made in your screen. So I'm feeling a little bit chaotic this morning because I was having some typical issues. I couldn't see myself for a while. So this is my feeling, and I just drew, like, I guess I drew an X. I added a dark black, and that was just kind of representing, how I was just feeling a little bit, frazzled for a second. And hopefully the next drawing will be a little bit more calm, because also it's a nice day out for me. So maybe I'm feeling more calm. And it's so nice to have everyone here as we discuss, how we're feeling during this pandemic. Okay, so I want to see a couple more examples. Okay, everyone's doing so good. These patterns are awesome. Great. Okay, so that's good. That's just the warm up. We have 2 more exercises that will go into making this kind of personal prototype or blueprint. As I said a little bit earlier, we're going to be making this personal prototype, and it's about using your imagination and using your current feelings to design your perfect mask for this setting. So next step on this exercise is we're going to do another drawing exercise, and this is more of a journaling kind of a project. So what I want you to do is, using a blank piece of paper, you draw an outline of a head like I've done here. And again, it's another intuitive drawing, but this time I would like you to use symbols and objects and more identifiable items in your mask, or in the drawing that you're making. So this is just, again, incorporating thoughts and feelings about how you're personally feeling during this pandemic, specifically wearing a mask and, you know, being in public. Okay? So we're going to get started. This workshop or this little segment is 5 minutes, so you have more time. Obviously, not a lot of time. I guess we'll get that started in a minute. Let me just set my timer so you'll have a little bit of time. One second. Okay, perfecto. 5 minutes. Draw within a face. Okay? I'm going to be drawing right alongside you, so hopefully this will be great. So 1 minute left. We have about 15 seconds. Okay, time's up. I know 5 minutes really does go by very quickly, but this is, just another part of the workshop. So I'm going to show you what I drew, and I would love to see what everyone else made. So I'm just going to put it up to my camera. It's a little bit of a quick drawing, but you can kind of get a feel for what I made. So I drew this interesting shape, this face mask, and then I drew a lot of these kind of emojis of a smiling person because I want people to know that I'm like a nice, happy person, and that you can kind of like trust me, and like I'm a friendly person. And then I also drew, I don't know how to describe this. It's on this side. It's kind of like in Sailor Moon when she gets frustrated and she gets like that hashtag on her face, and she's like really stressed out. And then these are also sweat bubbles from being frustrated, because often I'm kind of frustrated with this whole pandemic, and so I want to represent that. And so lots more stressy bubbles. And then over here, I wish there was a way that when I see another person wearing a mask, to give them like kind of like a visual thumbs up, because like often it's like when you're walking around, like you want to encourage other people to be safe and wear masks and think about the community, and you don't know how to always like high five people for that, so that's something I drew, and I can see that lots of people drew really interesting things. Thanks everyone for sharing. This all looks fabulous. Okay, awesome. Wow, great patterns. Everyone's doing really good. I like how some people incorporated color. That's next level. You guys are all stars. Okay, so we're going on to the final aspect. It's a little bit more of a longer process. So basically, the final aspect of this workshop, before I start talking a little bit about how to accessorize and how to add bedazzling, is this thing. So what we're going to do is we're taking our two drawings that were just kind of like journaling exercises, and now we're actually going to think about, okay, how do we solve this problem? How do we use creativity during this crisis to actually make a prototype? So we're going to be making a prototype. It's going to take us 10 minutes, which is not very long, but hopefully this will get your creativity and your ideas flowing. And so just taking another piece of paper, you're going to use the two drawings that you made before, and you're going to kind of combine them. And now you're actually thinking about, how do I solve an issue, or how do I express how I'm feeling with my mask, and you're going to cut this paper mask out, and it can either be a full mask, something that we did recently, or it can be a half mask covering either your mouth, like we see a lot during COVID-19, or other times lots of masks cover your eyes, like this, like we can think of masks that we see in Halloween. So this is a 10-minute exercise, and I'm going to get you guys to show your work at the end. I'm going to talk a little bit what I'm making. I don't know what I'm going to make yet, so let's see, and I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Here's a little update. Work in progress. I'll keep working. You have about 5 more minutes. So you have roughly 2 minutes. So it's probably a good time, if you do have scissors, to cut out your prototype. You have little under a minute. I'm gonna give people a little bit of extra time, so another 30 seconds. Okay, everyone, I bet that felt like a really quick 10 minutes, but we're going to wrap up that part. I'm going to show you what I made, and then I'm going to get you guys to show me what you made. So I made this drawing right here. Okay, I'm going to show it a little bit closer to the screen. So this is my prototype. And what I decided to do is I talked a lot about wishing that people could see my smile, and also wanting to applaud people for wearing masks, and kind of something that reflects my personality. So what I did is I decided that, you know, technology is going to be something that's going to help us a lot during this pandemic. It definitely has helped me, just like being able to talk to my friends and my family. So basically, I decided to have a slot for my cell phone. So pretend I have a phone here, and I would have an app that would kind of make face shapes or like mouth shapes while I talked. You know how you can program an emoji to talk, like, you know, at the same time as you? I believe that we'll be able to do that in real time with different apps shortly. And if you have a little spot for your mask for your cell phone, or maybe a small screen, I feel like that will allow us to, you know, smile or lip sync, pretend you're a drag queen, you know? So that was one of my ideas. Another idea I had is I wanted my mask to have something coming off of it that was dangly, because, you know, I love to wear necklaces, and I want to make sure that maybe I have something that is a little bit fabulous. So that's what I did. Other people made. I just want to see if you want to hold up your prototype. Okay, fabulous. I love that we have one that's really fringy. That's really cool. People did such a good job. Wow, that's a great drawing. That's really cool. People did such a good job. I love seeing all these masks. And, you know, in the future, obviously these are paper masks, but if you go online, there's a lot of great resources to make your mask a reality, whether that's out of fabric or other materials. You know, there's a lot of tutorials online that can help you make these a reality for yourselves that you can actually wear. Because it's all just an exercise. We're just prototyping right now, but I would love to see these masks come to life in other forms. For the next segment, I'm going to talk a little bit more practically about masks and about how we can actually bead and bedazzle some of your masks. I know that, you know, we'll probably be wearing masks during Halloween. You might be wearing masks for your next birthday. You might be wearing masks at the grocery stores for a long time. So how can we personalize these? So I have a little mask here, which is from the dollar store. I bought this for $4. And I'm just going to run through some of the techniques I would use in the future to kind of bead and bedazzle. So some of my thoughts about masks right now is that very soon, or I think something that people can do is kind of bring on little bedazzling tricks. Similar to how we have earrings, I feel like there's going to be like little earrings for your mask. So this is something I beaded. This is just using simple beads from Dollarama. I just put it on a wire thing. And what I would do is I would just clip it to my mask here. So something that I think a lot people will have like a black or a white mask, but maybe they'll bedazzle it with a little clip or something of that nature, just so you can have a little bit of fabulosity. And so that's another thing that I think is coming, is like little clips, but you can also make them yourselves. Like, you know, I have a string of pearls here, a string of glass pearls, and it would be so easy just with some thread and a needle to string them along the top of a mask. And that could add a little bit of glamour to your mask, or maybe you could just incorporate, you know, like, you know, instead of wearing pearls on your necklace around your neck, like a necklace, you could wear it around your face. So that's something I think is happening. And that's just a simple thing you could do yourself, just with some thread and some beads from the dollar store or the craft store, just adding a little bit of flair. You know, I think whatever you can do to personalize a t-shirt or personalize, you know, jewelry, I think you can incorporate into your mask. Like that's something I think a lot about, is like all the designs that are with earrings or necklaces, you can incorporate that too. Another thing is just with these simple strings of beads is, you know how you have the little ear holes, or like just like a little elastic here? If you put a small circle around that, like the circle that you would see in a necklace, you can attach lots of different things. And so I think, like, for example, I think this is a cute look. Like, can you imagine if that was all like gold pieces? Like that would be kind of glamorous. You know, just something like that. Very simple. Another thing I think a lot about is these simple little jewels that you can get from Dollarama. And all you need to use is like a bedazzling glue. You can get that at lots of craft stores. I forget what the one I use is called. I think it's E900 or E650. It's the big gray one. That's one that's commonly used. You just have to make sure that you're using a glue that is specific for stoning. And also you want to test your stones when you're bedazzling, because sometimes the back erodes if you're using something that is really toxic or chemical. Obviously you want to read your package really well, because if that's going around your face, that might not be comfortable if you're breathing in those toxins. So make sure that it's bead friendly, it's fabric friendly, and you know, there's really great resources for that if you go online, like what types of glue I can use for this. You know, like it will depend on your fabric. Obviously you don't want to be puncturing a lot of holes in a mask that you're wearing on your face, so I suggest glue. But if you're going to be sewing a little bit, adding a little bit of holes, you know, just be cognizant. Something I think is really cute is adding pieces that are kind of three-dimensional. So I have this wonderful flower embroidery that I got at a fabric store. This was, you know, really inexpensive. And I'll just model for you what I think I'm gonna do with it, because, you know, this is quite beautiful. And you can get, you know, patches or embroidery at your craft store or at your Dollarama. And those are things you can probably iron on, so that's really great. So I'll just show you what I think. So you got to work it out. You know, it's something where maybe it can come into your hairline, or maybe it can come around there. But I think there's ways to incorporate, you know, pre-made embroidery or pre-made bedazzling into your mask. Just because I think it's more fun if you're wearing something that is, you know, custom to you. And, you know, fabric comes in a lot of different patterns. That's a great place to start. But I think it's a little bit more fun or interesting for you to come up with things that are maybe more 3D. So I have this sticker that I got from Dollarama, and it's a butterfly, if you can see. And I think that is quite stunning. Just, you know, literally I peeled it off and I stuck it on, and, you know, it's not going to be there forever, but pretend you're going to a fabulous event and you want to look a little bit more glamorous. Why not add a little bit of beading? I think, you know, bedazzling and beading is something that people should utilize more. And I think for me, you know, the fabric that you use for your mask, a lot of people say that it has to be, you know, a certain type of cotton. And I think you want to stick within those guidelines if you want it to be functional, or you want to work with a mask that's already made. You know, this mask was $4 from Dollarama. I got these masks. These are the ones you see a lot. I think they're, like, if you have access to them, they're very customizable, and, you know, there's lots of options with them. So feel like making them your own. that's my thought. I'm going to show you really briefly some of the things I've been thinking about. You know, as you can tell, I really like flowers. And I was thinking about, you know, in the future, well, I made this work around Pride, and I had this thought that people were going to be walking around a little bit. And so I wanted to make something that was transformed a mask into something else. You know, I didn't want to bedazzle a mask. I wanted to make the mask a part of something. So I'm just going to slip over here, and I'll come back and show you something I made. Okay. I'm trying not to show my bald head, but now you guys all see it. Okay, whatever. So this is a beautiful flower. And if you can see, it's a functional mask. So I made this just with fabric. And then I sewed on these petals, which I painted, and they're just out of foam. And so they give this kind of like 3D effect. And what I think what is really great about this is it is not only it gives you some space, but it's a little bit of whimsy. And you can think about, you know, there's going to be Halloweens where we're going to be wearing masks. And, you know, do you want to be a princess wearing a mask? Or do you want to just look like something? Like, do you want to be a flower, you know, instead? Or do you want to be, you know, like a space astronaut? You know, do we want to be adding mass all the time, or is there a way that we can incorporate? So those are my thoughts. I'm going to show you one more. Again, I have to slip off over here, and I'll show you the reveal. Okay. So I'm not sure if you can see this with my white background, but I'm a glamorous octopus or sea urchin. And, you know, this is using fabric as well. And then I attached this this fringe, which I got from a Dollarama. It was in the birthday celebration aisle, you know, like, so this would be like a birthday decoration. And I just did it easy sew, just one line across this fabric mask. And I did that just thinking a little bit more about spectacle, thinking a little bit about wanting to make something that was kind of like reminded people of a firework, or something that was reflective so you could see it at night, because, you know, sometimes we are walking around at night wearing masks. And it's just, you know, it's mostly just an exercise in thinking outside the box. Like, I don't expect that you're going to be wearing these fabulous masks out and about, but you could be. Or there's other ways of thinking about how we're going to show our own identity via these masks. And I think, you know, it's important to think about our lives in the future, like not next week, but, you know, what's it going to be like when we're celebrating, you know, Halloween or other events. And so that's something I think about a lot. Let's just check. So yeah, so just to summarize, you know, you can buy really great inexpensive things to personalize your mask at Dollaramas or at craft stores. Also just using, you know, old jewelry and incorporating that into your mask. Play around, make sure that you like make something that you're happy with, or that you think is interesting to yourself, or and especially is expressing how you're feeling. And also I think technology is going to play a larger role in masks in the future, as I did with my little prototype. And I was so happy with what people made. Yeah, so that's my main thing. It's just like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of room to personalize masks. And I think we have a little bit of time. So maybe, Andrea, you had some questions for me.
I do. Thank you, Michael. It's so many great ideas. I actually brought out, it's not a bedazzler, but a blinger.
Yes.
For hair. We never use it. So we were blinging masks. So I'll have to share some more on Friday. But yeah, I wanted to ask you a few questions. So Michael, aside from giving you a huge thank you for leading today's session, what inspires you to do what you do?
So a lot of my work comes from my own identity, and I think a lot about as like a queer person, like how do I represent myself? And so that's why I use a lot of beading and bedazzling in my practice. And so yeah, just living my life, trying to bring in a little bit of gender and kind of work with materials that I gravitate towards. So yeah, I'm really inspired by just my general life and my friends. And I also am a DJ, and I work, well, not right now, but so I work in clubs. So I think a lot about like nightlife, particularly with my work.
Excellent. And in your view, what is the role of creativity in crisis?
So I think a lot about creativity is problem solving, and I think it's I think right now creativity and like thinking outside the box is something that we need. So especially during a crisis, creatives have been showing up to come up with different solutions or to lend a hand with making masks and all the personal protective equipment that people need. I think it just gives like a more intense viewpoint of the scenario because it's like a distilled version of what people are going through, and also because it's often personal, you get like a snapshot of what people are thinking about. So that's the role of art. It's in a very broad sense. For me, it's about problem solving.
Agreed. And it's so heartwarming when you see the community coming together as we have over the past 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to again thank you, Michael. It was fantastic. I learned so much, especially thinking forward to Halloween and how to get creative at home. Also to Farah and OCAD for sponsoring today's session. And a reminder that next week our session will be Through the Body with Tracy Ross, presented by UBC Studios in Okanagan. And a huge reminder to check out the archives at communitiescreate.ca for sessions on photography, comedy, podcasting, and more. And thanks for joining us, everyone. I'd like to invite you to stay for a well-being and mental health debrief with Diana. And bye to everyone who's leaving now. And we hope to see you next week.